Most fans know Brian Dietzen as Jimmy Palmer. Fewer know that he has actual writing credits on this show. 4 episodes, co-written with Scott Williams and Jesse Stern. And on the latest episode of the Ncis, Partners in Proby's podcast, which he co-hosts with Diona Reasonover, former executive producer Mark Horowitz turned the interview around and asked Dietzen how that side career actually started. And the answer he gave honestly explains so much about who Jimmy Palmer became on this show, and about why this writer's room has been able to pull off some of the boldest swings season 23 just took. Let me walk you through what Dietzen revealed, why it traces back to David McCallum, and then let's talk about where all of that institutional knowledge is heading as this show moves into season 24. Here's how Dietzen described the origin story. Writing came up for him when McCallum, who played Ducky, started working less and less as he got older. Dietzen was getting scripts for Palmer and felt something was off. He told showrunner Steve Binder at the time, "It feels like a lot of my dialogue. It feels like an elderly Scottish man is saying it, and it feels like maybe we could Jimmy up this thing." Binder, on his way out the door, threw the challenge right back at him. "If you think you can do better, just do it. You're a writer. You've written us a feature. Just do it." Dietzen took that completely literally. He wrote 10 to 12 pages of scenes and called Binder the next day. Binder apologized for being short with him. He hadn't even meant it as a real challenge. Dietzen just said, No, I wrote some pages for you." Binder read them and asked if he wanted to write a full episode. Dietzen said yes. "I honestly love this story because of what's underneath it." Dietzen wasn't chasing a career move. He was protecting something specific. The voice of a character he'd been playing opposite, a real person he deeply respected. He didn't want Palmer's dialogue drifting into something that belonged to Ducky instead. That's loyalty to a scene partner, not ambition, and that loyalty has real history behind it. Dietzen and McCallum met on set in 2004. Dietzen has admitted he didn't even know who McCallum was at the time, had never seen The Man from UNCLE, the show that made McCallum famous decades earlier. McCallum took him under his wing almost immediately. One detail Dietzen has shared before captures their whole dynamic perfectly. On the show, the moment Ducky learned Jimmy had passed his medical examiner's exam, the first thing Ducky said was Dr. Palmer, with pride in his voice. And Dietzen has said art was imitating life there, because McCallum did the exact same thing off-screen. He'd call Dietzen after an episode aired and say, "I love the scene you did. I'm so proud you're doing this in my stead." When McCallum passed away in September 2023 at age 90, Dietzen co-wrote the tribute episode himself, The Stories We Leave Behind. By that point, McCallum had been the last actor remaining from NCIS's original JAG backdoor pilot who still appeared regularly. 2 decades of history, gone in one season. Dietzen didn't want the tribute to be a string of flashbacks. He wanted to honor the amazing work that this great actor did and the character he built, not just mourn him. Back on the podcast, Reasonover has her own writing story. She wrote Turkey Trot and told Horowitz directly that his executive producer notes on that script in his final season on the show really turned the script around. She also revealed Dietzen had a lot of input on season 14's Keep Going, even though his name wasn't the only one credited. And the practical detail that makes any of this possible, neither of them works the full 8 days it takes to shoot an episode, usually closer to 3 or 4. That gap is the bandwidth that lets them actually sit down and write. Horowitz said something that tells you how this cast is viewed behind the scenes. When word went around that 2 actors wanted to start writing, nobody panicked. The reaction was just, can they write? Oh yeah. They're available? Great. Get them to work. No skepticism. Just talent already standing in the room. Now, I want to connect this to where the show actually is right now because I think it matters. Season 23 just ended on one of the most loaded cliffhangers this franchise has produced in years. The finale, Sons and Daughters, closed with Torres confronting McGee's son Mateo in a dark alley after Mateo pulled a gun on him and a single gunshot before the screen cut to black. Showrunner Steven Binder has since confirmed nobody died in that shooting, but he's been deliberately careful not to say more than that, and Wilmer Valderrama himself told press at a festival screening that he can only hope Torres makes it out alive, which is about as loaded a non-answer as an actor can give. On top of that, the season closed with the director's chair still empty after Vance's death earlier in the season, with Gabriel LaRoche still circling it, and with the strong implication, never shown on screen, that Gibbs himself was the one who took out Wayne Rogers from over 4,000 feet away. That is an enormous amount of unresolved weight for a season 24 premiere to carry. And knowing now just how hands-on Dietzen and Reasonover are in that writer's room, not as guests dropping in with ideas, but as people who've been fighting for years to get character voices exactly right, it's a little easier to trust that whoever ends up writing that premiere is going to handle Torres, Mateo, McGee, and the director vacancy with the same care Dietzen brought to protecting Palmer's voice after Ducky stepped back. As for when we'll actually get those answers, NCIS Season 24 is confirmed for fall 2026, airing Tuesdays at 8 on CBS. No exact premiere date has been locked in yet as of this podcast episode, but based on the network's usual fall rollout, expect it sometime in the back half of September or early October. Whenever it lands, it's inheriting a gunshot, an empty director's chair, and a kid named Mateo, whose fate Diona Reasonover herself has teased will test McGee's heart in a way we're not going to see coming. Drop a comment and tell me, did you know Dietzen and Reasonover write episodes of this show? And now that you know how much care goes into protecting these characters' voices behind the scenes, does that make you trust the season 24 premiere to actually deliver on that cliffhanger? Because I honestly do.